Hello, I am Jamila McMallow, and I am a mindset coach for women executives and entrepreneurs. And today I want to talk to you about a very important question that we as women really need to ask ourselves. And that is, did your mother teach you how to be miserable or happy? Interesting question, right? And we're going to get into it. I'm going to focus on three areas where your mother may have modeled some things for you that you may find a little bit surprising. And specifically, I'm going to speak into relationships. Did your mother teach you how to be miserable or happy in relationships? Okay. So the first area is in relationships with men. What did your mother teach you about that? Now, sometimes we may think, oh, what she taught me is what she said, or what she taught me was, I see her, with these abusive men or these toxic relationships, or maybe the relationship with she had with my father wasn't the greatest. So she taught me, how to be treated like a man. Yes, all that's true. But she also taught you what your expectation could be or would be in a relationship with a man. And if your mother stayed with your father or with whomever, another a man or her second husband, whatever, if she stayed in a relationship where she was miserable out of a sense of obligation or anything for any other reason other than just love, maybe she herself didn't have the personal strength to leave an abusive situation or to leave someone who was consistently cheating on her, whatever the case, in that relationship, if you never saw her happy, if you never saw her thriving, if you never saw her having her needs met, guess what you learned? That is what being in a relationship with a man is supposed to look like. And we live what we learn. And we can go out into the world and start these tremendous businesses, get these great, exceptional careers, be making all kinds of money. But then when we look at our love life, our relationships, our marriage, it can look like, what is going on over here? Success over here professionally, personally, why can't I seem to get it together? Well, the fact is, it's because you are simply living what you have learned, what you have seen, what you observed from her example. And it wasn't just like a list of duties or actions or any of those. You saw how she felt in the relationship. And as women, we are all about our feelings. Our emotions are our superpower. And so if you saw her miserable in her relationship with a man, that is how it is defined for you. You're supposed to be miserable. And this isn't something happening on a conscious level. This isn't something you're going out and seeking. Oh, I want to find the worst man I possibly can so I can be as unhappy as I love to be unhappy. No, all of this is going on a subconscious level. And so this is what I really want you to understand, is that it's not your fault. And it's not hers either. Because for whatever reason, as to why she allowed herself to be in a relationship where her needs emotionally were not met for whatever length of time, she also, that's playing into some things, some patterns, some history, some trauma that you probably aren't even aware of, that she never has made the connection. But what happens is when you see the disparity between your success in other areas and in your relationships, you have to ask yourself the question, what is this about? And then here's the kicker. Why am I continuing to be miserable? What is this about? We try to make it about other things, right? But no, are you living what you have learned? What did she teach you? Because sometimes we do have a choice. I had a very powerful conversation with an incredible woman, and she's in a relationship and she's not married. I said, the good news is he's not your husband. The bad news is he's not your husband. But why she's in the relationship, um, it's like she almost doesn't really know why she's in the relationship. And I just assured her, I can see clearly why you're in the relationship. It's because it just seems like you should be, or you're obligated to be, because that's what was modeled for you. That's what you just do. You stick to whomever and you stay no matter what. Now, I do believe in marriage. I do believe in being faithful to your mate, all those things. I don't believe in people getting divorced for frivolous reasons. I'm a Bible reader. There are very specific reasons why, when that's okay. However, some of us have those reasons and we still choose, not because of some more moral reason or we're trying to be holy or whatever. No, it's because we were taught that that's how life is supposed to be. We're supposed to be miserable. We want to be happy, but we're supposed to be miserable. And so if you saw your mother in a relationship with a man where her emotional needs were not met for an extended period of time, primarily your formative years, that's what you learned. That's what became your expectation. And that's what is probably, no doubt, your pattern. Now, I couldn't say that for sure unless I had a one-on-one conversation with you and asked more questions and dug a little deeper. But understanding your pattern is critical, because if you can't see it, you can't change it. And it's happening on an unconscious level. And so you're trying to figure out, well, why isn't this working? And because of what I do in my expertise, I can clearly say, hey, this is what's going on. And it's almost like somebody like, whoa, when you open up your eyes and you're like, wow, I never knew that. I never thought of it. Of course you didn't. It's not happening on a conscious level. But I want to bring that to your attention because it's so important. This is why healing is so important. This is why working on yourself and understanding your patterns is so important. The right man or a good man changes none of this for you. This is why women who keep seeking validation or happiness in a man outside of themselves aren't going to find it. Because even if you found a good man, and by good man, I mean a man who's not toxic, who has integrity, is committed, faithful, all those things, you wouldn't know what to do with him. Because if the relationship was healthy and he was making you happy, that would feel so foreign and so outside of your pattern that you wouldn't feel right. And you'd end up sabotaging the relationship or creating just a tremendous amount of drama where there doesn't need to be any. Okay? So did she teach you how to be happy or miserable in relationships with men? Second point, what was her, and let me say this too. The purpose of this video is not, like I said earlier, is not to blame your mother. This is simply enlightening you. I'm helping you to develop a level of self-awareness because, believe it or not, what I'm actually speaking into, this is a form of childhood trauma. Trauma is simply a painful experience. Watching your mother suffer in any capacity is traumatic, is painful, and it affects you as a little girl. And you grow up and you carry that with you unless you take deliberate and intentional action to change it, okay? So did she model for you how to be miserable or how to be happy when it came to your relationship with work and money? Okay. I have a client, and her mother, she watched her after her parents divorced. She watched her mother work a mediocre job for all these years, come home, plop on the couch, eat her food, whatever, and never, exude any sort of joy or purpose about anything she ever did. She just it was like, I just have to do this. It's whole hum about every aspect of my life. There was just no fun, no joy anywhere. And so my client learned that that's just how it is. And so now she finds herself at this stage in her life to where she just feels so unmotivated. And so like, I don't know how to get unstuck. And what I'm helping her to realize is, honey, you're literally living what you've been taught how to be, which is how to be miserable, how to not do anything to change your circumstances, how to just simply feel like you're a consistent and perpetual victim of your circumstances rather than owning the fact that you have a whole lot more power than you are aware of. Yeah, you can change your situation at any time you feel like it. As soon as somebody tells you, hey, you have the power, and then you turn the lights on and realize, hey, somebody is home. I can do something about this, okay? But if you saw your mother work a job she hated, or if you saw her work countless hours and constantly struggling to make ends meet, okay? And it could be her and your father, because perhaps your parents are still married or stay together or whatever. But if you saw her toiling, then that's what you learned is supposed to be your relationship with work and money. And so here it is. I had another conversation with a woman. She's an entrepreneur. Her business is doing well, but the terminology that she uses to describe her work, I'm grinding. I am hustling. I am going to do this for this length of time. And then, I'll be able to do it. So it's all of this just negative languaging and energy around work. And it's tied to, of course, wanting to achieve and checking off boxes. But the underlying sense and feeling underneath it is that it is simply a sense of obligation. It's just what I have to do. What I want to do is irrelevant, doesn't matter, and it doesn't even come up into your mind. Sometimes I ask women, well, what do you want? And it's almost like, you scratch the record, it just aged myself, or screech the car to a halt. And you're like, what do you mean? What do I want? Well, I want, the next goal. No. What do you want? See? Because if you never saw your mother achieve her dreams, why in the world would you believe it's going to be possible for you? Now, I ask that not to say that it's not possible. It absolutely is possible. I ask that because I'm challenging you, because this is what's going on in your head underneath. This is why it seems like there's this struggle to move to the next level, to change who you're being, because of this pattern, this way of being that's so frustrating. You're like, what is this thing that's keeping me going in this way that I don't understand, that I don't get? And I'm just letting you know right now. It's just you. It's what you saw. You're just living what you learned. It's just your pattern. It's running on autoplay, autopilot, subconsciously. You're just simply not aware of it. Okay. And so that's what I want to really do in this video is expose you, open your eyes to what's really going on. So if her relationship with work was that it was something that you had to toil, that was arduous, that was just That's how it's always going to be. I don't care how high your position gets in your company and what title you get and how happy you are that you got this promotion, or how excited you are that you created this business that plays into your gifts and you're an entrepreneur and I get to take time off to myself. Your work will always feel like grinding, pushing, making, because that's how you were taught to believe your relationship with work was supposed to be. That's it. Nothing wrong with you. It's not your fault. It's just what you learned. Your mother, she learned the same thing. But like I said, I'm here to enlighten you so that you understand that you can change it. Once you become aware of it, now you can change it. Awareness isn't enough, but it is key, because this isn't something that people just walk around and know that they're doing. Most of us don't know that we're walking around with unhealed childhood trauma, because we think, oh, because my dad didn't beat my mom, or because my mom wasn't an alcoholic, or because I wasn't left on the streets in foster care, that I didn't experience childhood trauma. No, we all had imperfect parents. Trauma simply means a painful experience. We all have lived it, experienced it, and have been affected by it in ways that we're simply not aware of. And all of them are not bad. You're not broken. You're not overall struggling or trying to fix yourself. That's why I'm making this video, because you're just simply getting kind of in certain areas of your life a sense of frustration. And so I'm trying to reveal to you what that's about, what's going on underneath. Why? What is this thing? Okay. And your mother is a part of that. Okay. And so that's the point of this video. So we talked about work, but now what about money? Oh my goodness. I could do a whole video on that. So she's making ends meet. She's struggling. There's never enough money, or maybe she wasn't good with budgeting. Whatever the case is, if her relationship with money was negative in any way, if it was scarce, if it was lacking, if it was never enough, if it was always a thing, that's what you were taught your relationship with money is supposed to be like. So no matter how much you get, you don't trust it. No matter how much you get, maybe you still don't handle it well. No matter how much you get, you're still afraid of it to an extent. Because That's your relationship with money. It doesn't matter if you have a lot or a little. That's how your relationship with money is supposed to be, because that's what was modeled for you. And so that's your pattern. And so you will find yourself doing the same thing over and over. Maybe you make a lot of money, but then you spend it and then you get in debt, or you pay off all your debts and then you get back in debt again, because you've learned that, no, I'm supposed to be in this negative relationship with money to where it's always scarce, to where I'm always fighting with it and in this tug of war with it. It's supposed to be like this. It can't just be easy, because that's what I believe is true, because that's what was modeled for me. That's my pattern. And so no matter how much money I come in contact with, I keep creating the same scenario over and over. Okay. Now, the last one, and I think this is huge, and I know this is really going to land with you if any of this video is resonating, and that is your relationship with yourself. Did your mother teach you how to be miserable or happy with yourself as a woman? So most of us, I dare say most, because I haven't met a woman, have not met a woman in all these years I've been doing this work, in the hundreds of hours, if not thousands of hours, that I have had conversations with very powerful, successful women. Not once have I heard any of them say, unless it was a situation to where their mother literally abandoned them, okay, or just wasn't around, where they saw their mothers put, well, in that scenario, their mothers did put themselves first, but in a very selfish way, right? But in this case, what I'm talking about is most of the women, most of us grew up with mothers where we saw them never taking care of themselves emotionally, never taking a breath or a moment for themselves, never going to get a massage, maybe never even working out or joining a gym, or taking a few minutes of quiet time for herself, or doing anything for herself. And so what we learned from that is that what that means for us as women is we are supposed to consistently and perpetually sacrifice and give and give and overgive until we don't have anything left. And then we're just going to have to run on fumes, because that's the only scenario that exists for us. Now today, because, we have some awareness, whatever, we might, oh, I'm burnt out. Let me go get a massage, or, oh, let me, go do this thing or that thing. I'll get my nails done. I have a personal with people who categorize, getting your nails done, all this stuff is self-care. That's nice that you do that for yourself, but that's not you. You are not your nails. You are not your hair. You are you, your thoughts, your feelings and emotions. So tell me about what you're doing for her. Tell me how you're taking care of her, because that's the person that actually needs the love, the compassion, and the care. And that's the person that you probably never saw your mother take care of. And listen to me. Things were different in the past, right? We talk about emotions all day long, like now, like it was something normal. It wasn't. Not even for some of us. I'm 44. Even us growing up, it wasn't like our parents were like sitting down, let's talk about our feelings. It was like, no, they were not from that generation. So your mother, no doubt, probably came from a time where, where she wasn't allowed to cry, where she was told that you need to be quiet, you need to do all these things, where she embodied this really, truly masculine way of being, because being a woman is a weakness. Crying is a weakness. Feelings are a weakness. Emotions are a weakness. So you have to stuff it down. Stop complaining. You ought to be grateful. All of that. Judging your feelings. Judging what makes you a woman, and then wonder why you're not happy. Hello. And so I say all that to say that she didn't know, because it wasn't a possibility for her. So she couldn't give you something she didn't have. But you are living what you learned. And there's always some exceptions, and that's fantastic and great. Okay. But I'm talking about, like I said, based on my experiences, the conversations that I done had. Okay. We have been taught to put ourselves last after taking out the trash. You understand what I'm saying? Everything else gets done, and then we take care of ourselves. And so that was a form of teaching you how to be miserable with who you are as a woman, not happy. A happy woman takes care of herself too. And so some of us are not happy because we actually don't know how to be happy, because we never saw our mothers truly ever be happy. And so to some extent, we feel like we even aren't allowed to be happy. What does that even mean? I've asked women, like I said, that tire screeching to a halt, like, what do you want? Well, what would make you happy? It's like, what? Happy? Well, I'm happy, you know, my business is making money. However, and I'm like, because I start asking the questions, I'm gonna dig right up in there and get down to it. And we can be like, okay, no. So what sounds like to me is that you're actually not happy. You're doing things that make you happy in the moment, but overall, how you're feeling, really, no, you're not. And it's okay because you don't know how to do it. It wasn't modeled for you. You didn't see it. You're reading memes on the internet, you know, like, oh, I can just journal my way to happy. No, you can't. Journaling is a tool, okay, of personal development. But no, the pattern, the example, what you were taught, what you were given, that you have built upon a tremendous amount of success, right? But you still weren't given that piece. You didn't get that part because it wasn't available to your mother to give it to you. And so for some of us, I dare say most of us, our mothers inadvertently, unintentionally taught us how to be miserable in relationships with men, in relationship with our work and our money, and in the relationship that we have with ourselves, our feelings, our emotions, who we are as women. And I only am exposing this to you today because unless you become aware of it, you cannot change it. And you can continue to dwell on the surface level all day long, and nothing will change until you're willing to go in deeply and heal this wound, this trauma or painful experience. And then give yourself permission now to do something different, to be someone different, to be happy, and the freedom to discover what that means for yourself. And it's not, and if you haven't done this healing work, you can travel the world all over. You can have every adventure you want. You can make as much money as you want, and you will still at the end of the day feel this thing going on like, ew, what's that? I'm still not. You're still not. And this is why, because what you were taught, that example, does not allow you in your internal belief system, in your thinking, in your feelings, in your emotions, you're not allowed to actually be happy overall. And even when you say that, if I'm talking to you, you understand what I'm saying, because it's like, I don't even know what that means, Jamila. What do you mean be happy? And I say, exactly. So I hope that you got some value out of this video today. My purpose here was really to, like I said, really educate you on this specific area that we struggle with as women, how to be miserable or happy, and really what could potentially be the origins for you, as they are for many women. If you would like to have a much deeper conversation on this, I invite you to send me a direct message. You can message me on Facebook, or you're welcome to book a call with me as well if you would like to learn a little bit more about what I do with my clients and helping them to heal these parts of themselves so that they can be ultimately happy, holistically, meaning in every area of their life. Okay? So I'd love to hear your thoughts and comments below. And I want to thank you for watching. And you all take care. All right?